In today's video, we're going to be talking about our 400 square foot garden you see behind me, as we've been growing food all year long, trying to grow as much food as we possibly can in this 400 square foot space. And in today's video, you're going to see a ton of footage from the entire growing season of everything that we grew in every single bed in order to make the best use of the space that we have in our garden. It's going to be a really long video, probably the biggest video that we've ever done. I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll stick around till the end. And thank you all for watching. And this is going to be our last video of the year. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm flipping a compost pile here. It's looking pretty good. And we've got some chickens out here helping me. They're finding a lot of bugs in here. This is probably one of my best looking piles that I've made. I got a hard worker here helping me flip this pile.
And me.
And you. I was talking about you.
What's your name?
Matthew.
Yeah, say your name.
Matthew.
Yeah. And you helping Daddy? Are you his helper?
Yeah.
All right, so today we're back in the 400 square foot garden, and I am amending these back rows. I have 4 rows here in the back of my 400 square foot garden, and this bed here we're going to be planting strawberries. And I just amended the soil by adding almost an entire wheelbarrow full of homemade compost, which was made primarily of rabbit manure. And my chickens are joining me here. I don't really want them in here right now, but I made plans for this back row of my 400 square foot garden to grow all perennials in this back row. So I'm going to be planting strawberries here as one of those perennial rows. These are runners that I just picked out of the ground. They look really, really good. These were in the ground last year, and they should be ready to produce this year. And I'm just going to show you how I am spacing these, planting them into this fresh compost. Hey, no, get out, get out, get out. You could use a tape measure to really dial this in if you want to, but I just go by eye. Sometimes it'd probably be better if I did use a tape measure, but I'm just trying to get close enough. Doesn't have to be perfect. Now I just planted a green stalk, one of the leaf green stalks that has 42 pockets with strawberries. And I'm not sure how many strawberries we'll end up planting in this bed, but I'm sure it'll be close to the amount of strawberries I planted in the green stalk. We'll have to compare yields at the end of the season and see which one actually did better, because I'm not sure. I just have a feeling the in-ground bed will do better, because I've had issues with tower gardens before, but there should be more moisture in these beds, so I would assume that these would do better, but I guess we'll find out. Alright, so I've got this whole bed planted. I think I counted about 25 or 26 strawberry plants that I planted. Did the 3 rows. I don't know if I was exactly about a foot apart, but I tried to be. And yeah, so this looks like it's going to be pretty productive. The soil is very warm because I pulled this from a hot compost pile. It was around 100, well, like 105 degrees, this compost. So soil's warmed up, and these will hopefully put off fruit throughout the month of June. So the next crop that I'm going to be planting into this bed here, which this bed right now is not a perennial crop. This is garlic that I grew from last year's 400 square foot garden. This will be coming out early in July, but I'm going to be planting these into this bed even though the garlic's already here, because I think it's going to be okay. Hopefully by the time the garlic's ready to come out. They actually look kind of similar to garlic scapes, What are these, you ask? These are Egyptian walking onions. I actually had these in the ground over winter. I planted them last fall and sometime in October in a different bed. Now these are perennial onions, and I never grew these before, but what these walking onions do is they put down roots, the bulb, and then it grows these green onions. This onion stem grows tall, and at the end there's another bulb that grows. So when it gets tall and then it starts to grow that bulb, it falls down to the ground and it roots again. Kind of like, that's not similar to how the strawberries are, but it puts off runners kind of like strawberries do. So really, they call this a walking onion because it literally walks along your bed. So you probably don't want this. This is perfect for like a raised bed situation like I have here, because I wouldn't want it going everywhere in my garden, but I can control it to this raised bed. And the fact that it's perennial interests me because this variety, I forget this exact variety, but I'll put it up on the screen. I got these from Baker Creek. They don't always have it in stock. I was on the wait list for a long time, and when I got the email that these were back in stock, I bought them. I got 5 of them. I got 5 bulbs for whatever I paid for them. And they all sprouted, which is good. And so these survived the winter. So that's very interesting to me. You could have a constant supply of either green onions, and you could also utilize the bulbs, because there's a bunch of different varieties of walking onions from what I understand, but this variety actually has a thicker bulb. It's still not the biggest bulb, but it's a thicker bulb than other walking onions, so you could actually use it like you would a regular onion, which is really cool. So you could always have some kind of onion to harvest even throughout the winter. The middle here. Kind of looks like I'm just planting more garlic. So right now in this bed, we're going to be planting spinach. Now that we got the bed ready, there are 2 ways that you could seed spinach. One of them is simply starting them in a tray. You could start them indoors in cell trays, and then as they grow and get ready to big, you could transplant those spinaches. But I've actually had some trouble doing that at times, and I find it's easier to just direct seed the seeds right in the ground, and I like to do that in the spring. So what I'm going to do here, again, these beds are 3 feet wide, 6 feet long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 5 rows going down this way. So I'm going to use this stirrup hoe here, well, the end of it anyway, to just make a little line. 5 rows, so I'm going to do 1 row on the outside.
I love how you made that end.
Yeah. So now I made 1 row here, 1 row on the outside. Now I'm going to do a row in the middle. And then in between these rows, I'm going to do rows 4. And then over here, in between these 2 rows, we'll do row 5. So that'll be our 5 rows for the spinach. You see them?
Yeah.
So this variety of spinach is called Giant Noble, or Giant Nobel. These can get pretty big leaves of spinach, and I like this one. I'm going to drop 2 to 3 seeds about every 4 inches. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2. It's not perfect, but you want to leave at least something like 4 to 6 inches in between these seeds. And I'm planting 2 to 3 seeds each time I drop, because spinach is sometimes finicky when with germination. Sometimes they're hard to germinate. So by planting a couple seeds each time I drop it, I'm going to have a much better chance of getting at least 1 plant in that area. so today we're in bed 3 here of the 400 square foot garden, and today we're going to be planting potatoes. I'm going to be planting 2 different kinds of potatoes. One kind of potato is the Yukon Gold. I really like this one. Really good for making French fries, baking. And the other variety I'm going to be growing is it's called Pontiac Red. I grew this last year, and it really has a pretty bright red skin, and I really like that. So in this bed I'm going to do 2 rows, one on each side of this bed, so it's a lot easier to harvest when it comes time to harvest. I've done in the past closer spacings, like maybe try to fit 3 rows in this bed, but I've learned that it's better, and you get better results when you space them out a little bit more and give them more space to grow. So that's what I'm going to do today. And the way that I'm going to be making my rows here, this is my son's rake because I broke my adult size rake. But what I'm going to be doing is mounding up some rows here. So I'm going to be pushing in this soil this way. So this right here is going to be 1 row, and on this other side I'm going to mound this row as well. Alright, so you can see we've got 2 mounded rows here, one there, one on the other side. So what I've just done is basically cut a nice gully here in both of these mounded rows, and that's where we're going to be placing our potatoes. If you look at the potato, they have eyes on them. You want to face, as you plant the potato, you want to make sure the eyes are facing up so that the shoots will grow up. And I'm going to be pushing these down to the bottom as far to the gully as I can. And I would say I'm spacing these about 8 inches maybe apart. You're putting one there? That's a good spot, buddy.
Can you give me another one? Where's this go?
That's going to go right here. Here, no, not like that. Put it here. Look this way. Okay? Push it. Yeah, there you go. All right, come over here. Right here. Ready? Push. All right, let go. I'm going to get another one. You ready? Oh, yeah. See, these are what the eyes look like. We'll plant it up like this. Come here, Matthew. Come here. Help me push this in. Yeah. All right, let go. Oh, yeah, that's good. All right, one more. Ready? All right, let go. All right, look at that. How many do we fit in this row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect.
Can you give me one?
All right, we're gonna start planting the Pontiac Reds now on the other side. I'm gonna do 8 as well, just in the same. I'm just gonna basically line it up with where I did it on the other side there. Push them all the way down. Here, come here. Right here. Ready? Push it in. All right, we'll go to the next one. Ready? Right there. So we're gonna go right here. Ready? Help me. No, no, no. Push this one in. Ah, put it in. All right, let go. All right, here. Next one, come over here. Move down. Oh, right here. Put it in there. Yep. Let go. All right, keep going. I'm gonna go right here. Okay. All right, let go. Hold that. Bring it right here. Push it in. All right, let go. And right here.
We did it.
We did it. All right, so I've got them all in. All I'm gonna do right now is just cover up this mound. So I'm just gonna cover it up. Now, come here, buddy. We're gonna cover up all these potatoes that are sticking where we planted the potatoes, right?
I can cover up that one.
Yep, we're gonna do it on the other side. Like this. We're just gonna push both sides over top. It's really important that your potatoes stay covered, because if they're not covered and they get exposed to the sun, it'll turn green, and that can be toxic when you eat it. So as these grow green leaves and sprouts out of here, you're going to want to mound this up a little bit more, and you could either do it with more soil or straw. Very good. All right, so I'm setting up my grow bag version of the potato garden right here, and I have 2 rows of 8 bags. These are 10-gallon fabric grow bags, and in the past, these are actually big enough that I've planted 2 seed potatoes in each grow bag, but right now I'm going to do just 1 and see if we get a better yield maybe from just 1 potato. Now these are certified seed potatoes. You don't have to get certified seed potatoes. You can just get organic potatoes from the grocery store and plant those. But I've always had really good success with these certified seed potatoes. They can be a little bit more expensive sometimes, but I think you get what you pay for. And these are usually checked for disease and stuff like that. They wouldn't approve getting a diseased potato for you to plant in your garden. So these are the Yukon Golds. I'm going to be planting 8 more Yukon Golds in these bags, and then in this other row next to them I'm going to plant 8 more of the Pontiac red potatoes. Now I'm planting the other 8 of the Pontiac red potatoes. I'm just pushing them down a few inches. You actually don't want to put them too deep in the soil because you want those green leaves to break out of the soil. If you plant it too deep, they'll never break out of the soil. But put a couple inches deep in there. Another thing some people like to do is, if you have a really big potato that has many, many eyes on it, you can actually cut them in half, let it scab over the part where it's cut, and then you could actually get 2 seed potatoes out of 1. But I actually don't like, I have done that, but I don't like to do that. I think the simple way to do it is just to plant the 1 seed potato, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm just planting 1 seed potato per bag, and we'll see how they do compared to the ones that were planted in the raised bed. All right, so we're back in the 400 square foot garden today, and we're in bed 1 here, and we're planting carrots. And the seeds that I'm going to be planting are from the home garden collection here, from Survival Garden Seeds. And 2 of the seeds, there are 30 different seed packets in this collection. The 2 that I'm planting are one variety called Little Fingers, and the other one is called Imperator. I've never planted either of these. I'm excited to plant these. I have a discount code for this seed company, Survival Garden Seeds. Use my code TinyFarm10 and you get 10% off and when you check out. And I really like this company because they give so many heirloom seed packets in a collection, and the cost comes to less than $1 a packet when you buy a big collection of seeds. And for growing a garden like this, a 400 square foot garden where we are trying to be very, very self-sufficient, all of these seeds are heirloom, meaning you could save the seeds from these. So you could literally buy this one time and never have to buy seeds again. So this is a really great deal. I really like this company. You could check them out. So those 2 I'm planting, and I'm also going to be planting from the Homesteader collection here, which has 50 different heirloom seed packets. This variety, which I have grown before, called Royal Chardonnay or Chantenay Royale. This is a really nice, stubby, old-fashioned kind of carrot. Now, I have prepared this bed here, filled it up almost to the top with soil, and the variety of soil that this is compost that I've made. This compost is almost entirely rabbit manure compost. And the cool thing about rabbit manure is you could use it fresh. It doesn't have to be composted. However, I did compost this anyway, and you get this beautiful, beautiful dark compost of the rabbit manure, which is very high in phosphorus, which is something that's important for growing root vegetables like carrots. They get a nice root vegetable, a nice long root vegetable. They need phosphorus, which is in this rabbit manure compost. So I have filled this up almost to the top. There's a good 6 inches of soil in here, and I'm going to plant 3 rows of carrots down here. One here, one in the middle, and one on the edge, and I'll show you that right now. In the past, I would do 5 rows in this size bed instead of 3. However, I have found that it's a lot easier to weed in between rows when they're spaced a little bit further apart. I could come in with a stirrup hoe in between these 2 rows once they germinate and kill all those weeds coming in between. And that's the big thing with carrots, is staying on top of the weeds. Plant an Imperator. I'm going to do that here in this first row right here. This is about half of the seed packet here. Quite a bit of seeds in this little packet. I'm actually surprised. I thought there was less. So here we go. I don't know how well you'll see this, but I'm just going to, every inch or 2, I'm just dropping some in the soil, right on top of the soil. This is a lot easier if you have a seeder, which I do, but on a small scale like this, in a small raised bed, I prefer to do it by hand. And really, the seeders don't really work for just a few square feet like this. Right down the center here, we're going to do the Royal Chantenay. This variety I have grown before, and I really like it because, as it says on the back, it's a stocky carrot that grows well even in heavy or clay soils, which is a lot of what we have here. So still get a good carrot even if your soil is not the best. And that's what we're going for. So I'm going to do the same thing. Not a perfect science. In a perfect world, I would drop one every 1.5 inches or 2 inches. But in a perfect world, every seed would germinate that you drop, and that does not happen. So we're going to overseed it a little bit. Is called Little Fingers. I'm going to get these guys on this far row here. These seem to be more of a baby carrot. It says that on the back that they could grow 3 to 4 inches long. So we'll get quite a different variety of carrots from this bed, which is kind of exciting. It's not always fun to grow the same kind of carrot all throughout a bed. So here we'll have 3 different kinds of carrots that we'll be harvesting in about 2.5 months' time. All right, so in this bed back here, we're planting another one of our perennial beds. And yes, and we're going to be planting sunchokes, also known as Jerusalem artichokes. Yes. Now this is known as a survival food. Now I'm going to open these up. These are a tuber that is in the family of sunflowers. These tubers will sprout a flower that resembles a sunflower, and this can be used as an animal feed. The stalk and the flower can feed animals, and I'm going to use that to feed my chickens. It'll also provide some beauty to the garden because I'm going to have a whole bed of sunflowers. The tuber is a food source that these can be eaten These can be eaten like you would eat a potato, or maybe something like a turnip. You could roast them, you could mash them. They supposedly have a nutty texture, taste to them, but can be eaten like a potato. And the cool thing about these is that they could be dug up any time of the year. So even in the middle of winter, you could come out and dig these up. And these come back every year. These are perennial. So these little roots that we plant this year are going to grow exponentially in size. And we can harvest what we want from them and leave some of the root in the ground to grow the following year. So that's my plan here. It's going to be a very pretty row, I hope, with all these sunflowers that grow up. Now I've got two varieties that I'm planting. This one is called White Fuseau Sunchokes, and I got another variety called Red Fuseau Sunchokes. So they're a little bit different color. Can't really tell too much of the difference right now. And I think what I'm going to do in this bed back here is plant 3 rows. So one down here, 1 row down the center, and 1 row along the edge there. And I'm going to plant them about a foot apart from each other within these rows. And I think that's just what we're going to do here for this bed. And I'm going to update this progress on this crop as we go along this season. Now some of these, actually a lot of these have sprouted already. You can see the sprouts on this one. So I'm going to plant them with most of the sprouts pointing up, so that'll be easy for it to grow up and out of the soil. Make sure that sprouts are pointing up. Okay, and cover it up. And then we're going to do another one about a foot here. Here, hold this. Okay, and then cover it up. Cover it. So I'm going to use the shovel now to really dig down a little bit deeper and create a little gap here. And I'm going to drop this piece down. There we go. And then cover it up. Can you grab another piece for me out of the bag? Yeah, that's better. We'll get a nice deep planting here. Go ahead, drop it down there. Cover it up. Can you grab another one? All right, so we are filling up our beds here in the middle. I just filled this bed, and now I'm filling this bed here, and this soil is homemade compost, and this is from our chicken run. So it's hard to be self-sufficient, really, if you're not making your own soil. And what better soil than this? This almost looks like a potting mix that you would buy at the store. But we didn't have to buy it. We just kept piling organic material in the chicken run, and they just trimmed it all down and turned it into really, really fine soil. And that's something we could grow a whole ton of basically anything with. And it's a high nitrogen source, which is going to be good because these 2 beds we're planting tomatoes and cucumbers, which need a lot of nitrogen. And as you could see, this bed was filled last year, but so much soil receded and kind of just sunk back down. So we really almost have to refill this bed. And I'm gonna put really, really, really good soil in it that's really, really full of lots of nitrogen and nutrients to bring the soil back to life so we could grow really, really big and healthy cucumbers and tomatoes in these beds. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited to plant, but I'm also really excited because of the soil that we made. I can't believe how beautiful and fine this soil is that our chickens made for us. So I'm gonna fill up this bed and get these planted as soon as possible because we're past the threat of frost here and it's time to grow. And I'm really excited to use this trellis that I just put up this year. And we're gonna utilize it the best way possible to grow a ton of food in just a small square footage here. And my plan here is to grow cucumbers on the inside rows of these beds. Excuse me, no, tomatoes are gonna be on this part of the bed, on the insides. And I'm gonna trellis them up to the top of this and let them grow really, really tall and healthy. And on the inside of the beds, I'm gonna do cucumbers. So the cucumbers will grow up and grab onto the trellis on this side. Cucumbers will grow up. And yeah, I'm really excited to see that happen. So. All right, this last one I'm gonna plant here on this row here right on the inside of this arch trellis are these pickling cucumbers, and I'm really excited about these. All right, so I just put 2 seeds in each spot, and we're gonna have 6 plants. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's hard to see, but there's gonna be 6 cucumber plants along the inside of this bed, and they're gonna be trained to grow up this arch trellis. So we're really gonna utilize this vertical space here with the butternut squash on this side and the cucumbers on this side. And then we're gonna be using the inside for where the tomatoes are. We're gonna have a string tied up to the top to trellis them up so they can grow and get really good airflow and be healthy. But same spacings here, about 18 inches apart. I'm just gonna push them in, cover them gently, not too deep, and do the same all the way down. And yeah, I'm a fan of direct sowing things. Just makes it a lot easier. And a lot of people don't have greenhouses, so. All right, so it's lightly raining right now. I got a few squash seeds. I'm gonna plant them about 18 inches apart on the inside here of this bed so that they will hopefully grow up this trellis, and we'll be able to pick some squash in a few months. So here we go. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plants. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna push it in the soil a little bit, cover it up. And this one, we're gonna just push it into the soil a little bit, cover it up. And we're gonna do that all the way down. Right. I'm really excited about this heirloom tomato mix. I'm gonna plant these now. It's raining, so I'm gonna be quick with this. Really hard to record what I was just doing, but I direct sowed these, and I'm just gonna cover them gently. I just planted those heirloom tomatoes on the inside row here. On the inside row of this middle bed, we're gonna do these Roma tomatoes from Survival Garden Seeds. And I'm curious to see how much you can actually grow from just about, I think we're gonna fit about 6 plants here, about 18 inches apart. And yeah, we'll see how much we can grow from those plants trellised up on this arch here. So here we go. It's raining. I'm going to be quick here. All right, so in this bed, we're going to be planting asparagus. And I started asparagus from seed this spring. And this is what you can expect it to look like. It's probably been in there, well over a month. I am going to plant these in this bed, and I just wanted to show you, I have some asparagus that I started from seed last year that I planted in a different bed, and I want to show you the difference, what you could expect. These were started from seed last year in the spring, and this is the roots. Of course, these aren't big, thick crowns yet that you could eat, but I'm pretty sure this is a 3-year thing when you start from seed. So next year, hopefully we should get some really big fat crowns of asparagus from these guys that I started last year. So I just wanted to show the difference between year 1 seeds and year 2. You could also buy crowns at like your local Tractor Supply and plant them that way, like a dormant crown. But yeah, I started these from seeds last year. So we'll have some next year that will, these should produce some crowns for us next year, and the ones I started from seed this year will be behind, but at least we'll have something next year. But what I think I'm going to do here is do 3 rows. I'm going to do one on the edge here, one down the middle, and one along the other edge. So I'll have 3 rows of asparagus, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna do anything in between those rows. I've learned that when I leave space in between rows, it's a lot easier to weed with my weeder, with my hoe, my weeding hoe. But I could also plant more of the Jerusalem artichokes maybe that I planted in this bed behind me, because that's also a perennial. I have some more of those. But right now, I'm gonna plant these. Now, I'm new to growing asparagus. I'm not claiming to be an expert grower of asparagus. Oh wow, look at the worms in this. This is fresh compost that the chickens produced for us. And we pulled this out of the chicken run and let it compost a little bit. This is super amazing looking soil. Oh my good. Talk about living soil. You're gonna grow really good food when the worms are like that. So I was watching a video by James Prigioni. He has a very popular gardening YouTube channel. And what he recommended for, oh, I got sweat in my eye. Can't see. Okay. So what he recommended to do for asparagus and also for things like planting strawberries is to dig a trench. I'm digging a trench, and I'm actually going to make a mound inside this little trench. And what I'm gonna do in this mound is take the roots. Can you come closer? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna make a little mound here, and I'm gonna, inside this trench and this mound, I'm gonna put the roots on top of this little mound here, and then I'm gonna cover this up with this wormy compost soil, and that's gonna produce a really, really healthy root system. Look how awesome that looks.
It kind of looks like a baby asparagus tree.
It is like a little tree. So,
remember when Matthew ate some of that asparagus?
I do remember that.
That was like 2 days ago.
Okay, so I'm gonna go about 1 foot apart here, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna make a little trench and then a little mound inside the trench. Little mound inside this trench here. And I'm gonna drape these roots over this little mound in the trench. Spread them out so they will continue to spread out as they grow. And then we're gonna cover this guy up. There we go. Now again, these first ones that I'm planting are the ones I started from seed last year. So these are 2nd year asparagus here. And that's what I'm gonna keep doing down this middle row here. Make another mound of soil. That's a weed, don't want you.
Kind of looks like asparagus.
Make a little mound here. And then, wow, this is really tall. I haven't done anything to these. I haven't trimmed them or do anything. These just stayed in the ground from last year over winter.
To this year.
Till this year, and it is very much alive.
This is the biggest asparagus we have.
Yeah, this one's pretty tall.
Pretty healthy.
Oh, I'm gonna keep going, but look at this one. This one might be the biggest one. Look at this thing.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. Wow.
It kind of looks like a baby pine tree.
I think I could probably break this into 2.
Oh yeah, it kind of has like 2 parts.
As long as I keep I don't know if I should, but I think I could.
Yeah, because the roots are there and you might have to break the roots apart too.
Yeah, let me see.
I think you should just plant it like that.
Yeah, you know what? I don't want to mess it up. I'm just gonna plant it.
Because that's the tallest. Oh, ew, that's cow.
Yeah, that's cow poop I just touched. Gross.
Ew.
All right.
Cow poop. You should tell them where you got it from.
I did. Well, in one of my other videos, I was talking about how my friend Josiah runs a farm called Honeybrook Farm, and does pastured poultry, and he has cows and pigs, and he offered me he was cleaning out his paddocks and had a lot of cow manure that he was moving. Yep, and he offered it to me because he knows that I like to make my own compost. So I've been adding that manure mixed with straw as bedding in our chicken run, and that's what this compost is made of, and it's really, really dark. It's the best soil I've probably ever made, and yeah, wow. So these are asparagus that I started from seed this year, And you see the just little baby roots there. So these are gonna be a year behind the ones in the middle, but I think it'll be good for, at least for video purposes, to show the differences in growth. I'm actually not gonna do the mounding thing because they're so small. They're still gonna have plenty of room to spread and grow. I'm just gonna spread these out. Same spacing, about a foot apart. Might be a little bit further than that.
I'm 4 feet tall.
Huh?
I'm 4 feet tall, so that would be like 2 more than me.
Uh-huh. These will spread too, and
So
produce seeds that'll drop, and then more asparagus. Eventually this bed will be full of asparagus. So I'm not really worried about spacing. I want to give them enough space, but I want to make sure that they're going to have room to spread out and grow. So we have a nice big fat bed of asparagus here. This one's really small.
oh my god, that's teeny tiny.
It's all right. We're putting it in really, really good soil. So I have high
I
hopes.
can't even see that baby asparagus.
Yeah, some of them are a lot
I can't
smaller.
even put it on camera.
Yep. Yeah, you can see how little that is. But I have high hopes for these guys. I can't even see the one I just planted. It was right there.
I hope to know that- You remind me of that song.
Yeah. There we go. I'm gonna fit one more in the corner here. What?
Can I pause it for a sec?
No, it's okay. I can't put that song in because it's copyright. I don't own the rights to that song, so. There you go, that one. All right, so I'm in my greenhouse, and maybe 5 or 6, maybe about a week ago, let's say a week ago, I planted my golden bantam sweet corn seeds in here from Survival Garden Seeds. I planted 15 of these seeds. I believe I'm only gonna need 12 to 13 seeds for how many I'm gonna be planting in my raised beds. So I planted a few extra, but it looks like I have exactly 15 sprouted, so every single one germinated, doing good. And in a few days, I'm gonna transplant these directly into the garden where they're gonna grow. And we're gonna do the Three Sisters planting method with these, but these are gonna get the first head start. And then I'm gonna do some pole beans on the inside of these corn stalks. Once they grow to about a foot tall, I'm gonna plant the pole beans. And then in the middle of the rows to cover, they usually do squash, but our beds are so small that I decided that I'm gonna do, as a ground cover to smother weeds, I'm gonna do a very large zucchini plants, maybe 2 or 3 of them in the center of the row to block out weeds. So that's my plan for my version of the Three Sisters planting method in a small raised bed. All right, so I got a tray here of our golden bantam sweet corn. These were seeds that we got from Survival Garden Seeds. We got perfect germination on these. I planted 15 of them. Sure enough, there's 15 corn plants that started to come up. So we're gonna plant these. We're gonna do 2 rows in this bed. We're gonna do the Three Sisters planting method here. So we're gonna do a row of corn here, spaced about 12 inches apart. Then we're gonna do a second row on that side of the bed, same spacing. And once these get to about a foot tall, we're gonna plant some climbing pole beans right inside of the row of corn to start growing up the corn stalks. And then once those pole beans start to grow, we're gonna plant in the middle of this row, we're gonna plant actually zucchini, which is not typically what they would grow in the Three Sisters planting method. They would plant squash. But the problem is this bed is only 3 feet wide by 6 feet long, and squash would just grow into all these surrounding beds. But what squash does is create a really nice ground cover, and zucchini can create a really nice ground cover. So that's what we're gonna do with the zucchini there in the middle. It's gonna cover this whole center of the bed so that we prevent weeds and actually grow something else in there. So as you can see, this is just a container that I recycled. This is not a cell tray or anything that that we got special at the store. I'm gonna be very, very gentle taking these out. I'm getting my fingers below where the roots are. Here, you can see that. You wanna be very careful. I'm not grabbing it here where it might snap in half and break. I'm getting my fingers under the root ball here. And I should probably use something to space this properly, but just gonna go by eye. I'm gonna create a divot here. Now this soil is primarily chicken manure, very high in nitrogen from our chicken run that we further composted down. And that's what you're gonna need with corn. They're a very heavy feeder. They're a very thirsty plant. They need a lot of water and they need a lot of nitrogen. So we are supplying them with that, and we might hill this up a little bit with some extra nitrogen compost later this season as they grow. We're gonna give them some more. So I'm gonna plant about 12 inches apart, and that's where we're going right here. I'm holding it beneath the root ball and cover it up. Hey buddy. We're gonna go another foot. Does this look like about a foot right here?
Probably.
Probably.
Well, a foot is only 12 inches long.
It is only 12 inches long. You are right. We're gonna put this in here and cover it up.
I like
This is exciting.
It is.
this corn.
Yeah, you like that? Hang on. We're gonna make another divot here.
I
You watching?
It probably looks like
like
6 inches away, probably.
Yeah. Gotta be about 12 inches. You wanna cover that up for me, gently? Yeah, that's good. All
Good
right.
job, Maddie.
All right, let's make another hole over here. Right here. We're gonna put one here. All right, you ready?
Huh?
No, not there. Right here.
Right there, buddy.
All right, help me cover this up.
Maddie.
Right here.
Help Daddy.
Gentle, gentle. That's it. All right, we're gonna do one more hole right here. Help me dig that.
Dig it up.
I know you're good at digging holes. Can you dig that a little bit more? All right, that's good. All right, let's cover this up. Push the soil in. Wait, hold on. Let's dig this. Roots hanging out. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah.
All right, so how many did we get in this row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We planted 6 stalks in our first row. Oh, Maddie, nice hole.
Oh,
All right, you're gonna be my digger from now on, okay? All right, hey, digger.
What?
Oh wow, look at that root.
That looks like a short noodle.
That was, it's good thing that we planted a really deep container here. All right, let's, watch out. Actually, let's make this a little bit deeper so this root can spread out. All right, cover that up. That's it. All right.
All right, Mr. Digger.
Hey, right here. Dig me a hole right there, would you?
Oh,
Please, sir.
nice one. Look at that hole.
That's a great hole. Thank you.
That's a big hole.
Yeah, it is.
I knew you could do it. All right.
I think you knew it all along.
All right, Maddie, right here. You dig a hole there?
Nice hole.
It's a really big hole.
Wow.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
a
a
really
very
big
healthy
hole.
looking corn stalk here.
That's it.
Excuse me.
Get all these roots in here. Cover it up. All right, Matthew, I need another hole. I need a hole right here. Right there, yep. Can you dig a little deeper than that? Okay, I'm gonna get the tallest ones in here.
Well,
Oh, that is a tall one.
All right.
what is this one?
Yeah, break it up. Yeah, that's soil.
Good idea.
You break it up on top here. That'll help the corn grow. All right, we're gonna do another one right here. I need a hole right here, buddy. Can you do that for me?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, that's good. Thank you. And we're gonna have one more on the end here. One more plant. Can you help me dig a hole deeper?
If you stayed one there, there'd be 3 more left.
Yeah, we'll have to put them somewhere else. We don't have room. This is a tiny bed. Help me cover it.
Yeah.
Push it. Oh, careful, careful. That's it. That's it.
That's cow poop, Maddie.
It's all right. It's composted. All right, Maddie, what's our next step? We planted it. What do we do after we plant? We water it, right? We're gonna do our first harvest from this bed of spinach. I'm not sure how much we're gonna get, but you could just see, if you come in closer, Lucy, look how big these leaves get I've never grown a spinach that grows such huge leaves. Now there are some little bug bites in here, but that's because we don't spray any chemicals or pesticides on our greens that we eat. So I guess we're just sharing with the neighborhood bugs. But it's going to start getting a lot warmer, so I'm going to get this first harvest. Maybe we'll get another harvest. I've never gotten too many harvests in the spring from spinach, but we're going to see how much we get. And wow, what I'm going to do is just take all of the bigger leaves that are really up, standing up more upright, and I'll leave all the smaller ones down here to regrow. So that's what we're going to do, and then we're going to weigh how much we get, because I really want to show people how much you can actually grow in a really small space. So yeah, take all the ones that are standing up first when you're harvesting and leave the smaller leaves to grow. The smaller leaves are growing down here at the center of the plant. So once we take these bigger leaves out, the smaller ones will get more energy to grow bigger. So we're helping them out. Probably could do this without the knife, because I almost sliced my finger with this knife. Don't want to do that. Yeah, you can just pinch them off. Man, it's actually faster without the knife too. I don't really care about the bug bites. I might not sell something that looks like that, but I would eat it. Would you eat it, Lucy? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter to me. But man, these leaves are huge. So much we could do.
I think they would be like 4 inches.
4 inches? They might be. They might be. I believe we seeded this bed on March 15th. It was the middle of March, and we got almost perfect germination. And this is probably the healthiest looking spinach bed we've ever had. I just managed to fill 3 full bags here from just 6 feet. 3 feet by 6 feet. That's what, 18 square feet? That's not bad. And there's still a lot more spinach there that is just smaller. I could have picked for a lot longer, but I picked all the biggest leaves. I'm gonna go weigh these now and see how much we got. I think it's over 1 pound. I just measured these. We got just about 2 pounds from these 3 bags, so that's pretty good. And I'm sure we'll get a few more harvests from that bed. Bed number 4. And we're planting lettuce in this bed. The variety of lettuce that we're planting is called Ice Queen. This is from Botanical Interest. There's other companies that sell this seed too, but I got this as a free seed. I forget what I bought to get a free seed, but I tried it, and this grew the most unique head of lettuce. This is a French heirloom crisp head lettuce. Really cool. So what we're gonna do is space them about 8 inches apart and do 4 rows, 8 inches apart. And they're also gonna be about 8 inches apart going down the long way. So I'll show you that here. In this tray here, this is one of my, it's called a wind strip tray. What's interesting and unique about this tray is that it actually air prunes, so it helps the roots of these seedlings hit the air in different pockets around this cell tray, and it causes them to produce more roots. So you actually get a healthier seedling from this kind of tray. Now, another way that you could seed lettuce without doing the starting them in a tray, which is my recommended way to start seeds, because if I know that a month from now if I have a plan to plant lettuce a month from now, that means that a month ago I need to start seeds. These have been in a tray for almost a month, about a month, and after a month at most in the tray, they need to go into the ground. So you can plan, say, if you want to have lettuce in the ground on May 1st, you start them on April 1st in a seed tray. And then on May 1st, you could transplant them into the ground. And then about a month later, they'll be ready to harvest by the beginning of June. And then you can plant something else. So here, the spacing is important here, so we could grow the most in a small space. Now it's a little bit hard to see because of how small the plants are, but you get a good idea. That is the spacing for this whole bed. Let's see, how many rows do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times 4, so we have 36 lettuce heads that will be in here, as long as the slugs don't eat them. All right, in this bed we are going to be planting our sweet potatoes, and what we're going to be doing here is 2 mounded rows, just like we did our regular potatoes. So we're going to do a mounded row here and a mounded row on the other side. So here is our sweet potato bed, and as you can see, I've got my 2 mounded rows here, and I've actually added a layer of straw on top, which I just gained access to from my neighbor. So I'm going to use it to help retain moisture on this row. It's something that I've never tried before. I think it's going to be very successful. Sweet potatoes you could grow in something like a landscape fabric, like a black fabric with the holes cut for these slips. But this is a more natural way to retain moisture and keep these plants happy throughout the season. So as you can see, these have really mounded up a lot more since I've added this straw. What I'm going to do is I have 2 different varieties of sweet potatoes. This one here is called the Mahon Yam. This variety I got from Johnny Seeds. You see I rooted the slips here. These are a really sweet sweet potato. Why I guess the name has yam in it. So I'm going to do 1 row of these with the Mahon Yam, and the other variety I'm planting is called Vietnamese Purple. These are an all-purple sweet potato. I got these from Baker Creek Seeds, and I guess this is a rare variety grown in that side of the world, Vietnam. And the unique part about it is the flesh is all purple, not just the outside. The flesh is purple on the inside, and they're pretty tasty too. Not as sweet as the Mahon Yam, but I like to grow these because of how large. These were my largest sweet potatoes last year. Huge fat sweet potatoes, and also really beautiful. So I'm going to do a row of these as well. Now what I'm going to do is just I'm going to create a little spot for my slips in these rows. I guess I'm going to do these first. Now I'm going to plant this to about here. All the roots are here. I'm going to plant this to about here where the first leaves start to come out. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to plant these about every 12 inches. That one's in there. I'm going to put some straw around it, and these should take off in no time. I'm going to make a space in here, a little hole, plant the next one. These slips are really easy to grow. Really easy to propagate sweet potato slips. From just 1 sweet potato, you could get multiple slips. And I'm going to have more slips this year than I have space to plant them, but that's okay. Just going to make a little hole, plant the next one. What will make the sweet potatoes successful, in my opinion, is having a deep enough soil. For these like to grow down, they'll grow deep. So if you only have 5 inches of soil, you're not going to get very nice or very large sweet potatoes, or maybe not very many at all. But if you make it deep enough, you will give them more of a chance to succeed and grow some nice sets of fruit there. So we're setting ourselves up for success, I hope, this year. A lot more than last year in these beds. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 slips. That's pretty good. Try to match the same amount to the other side. And then we'll compare yields at the end of the season and see how we did with each variety. Obviously, after we plant these, we're going to water these in really good. Get them off to a good start. It's been really warm, humid, and hot the last few days. I don't want to shock these. I want these to get off and running. So today is May 20th. Usually you'd want to set these out, at least in my area, around beginning of June. But it's been warm enough that I think these are ready to get into the ground. These are going to take around 110 to 120 days to reach full size. What I typically will do is let them stay into the ground till mid-October, and I will pull them before the first threat of frost comes, and make sure that the tubers don't get frozen in the ground. I'll make sure to harvest them before that happens. So that's typically what I will try to do, so I don't lose them. Should have just enough to fit 7 in here. Perfect. So we'll have 14 slips in here. We'll see how much of a harvest we get at the end of the season. I'm harvesting garlic in here. Oh, you want to be careful not to snap off the bulb from, which is very easy to do. You want to kind of lift it up out of the ground there. There we go. These are Inchelium red. Probably would have grown bigger if I let them grow a little bit more, but I want this space to be dedicated to my walking onions, which I can't even see in this bed. I think some of them may have died. I thought they'd be able to grow with these garlic. I only see a few. We grew all of this garlic here in just 18 square feet, a 3 foot by 6 foot raised bed. This is probably enough to have enough garlic for the entire year, I would say. Maybe more, depending on how little or how much garlic you use. It's probably at least 50 bulbs in here, so 1 per week. That's awesome. This smells really good and fresh. These need to cure now, so you could hang them somewhere that has good airflow. And after a few weeks, and they're cured, they can go into storage for you and be ready to eat. Although you can eat them now. I've eaten some fresh and they taste pretty good. So we're in our Three Sisters bed here. We could see the corn's grown at least 2 feet tall, I would say. And the Kentucky pole beans here have all sprouted, which you can see. And now, this was about 10 days ago, so this is a little under 2 weeks where we're at. So now that I see that all of these have grown, all the runner beans, we're gonna plant our zucchini in the center of this bed. So I'm actually gonna direct seed the zucchini. And let me see that, Matthew. We're gonna be planting this variety called Black Beauty from Survival Garden Seeds. They have really good seed collections for really good prices. And if you use my code TinyFarm10 during checkout, you'll get 10% off your seed purchase of their seed collection. So definitely check that out. So what I'm gonna do,
Yeah, that's a raspberry growing.
so what I'm gonna do here is measure out
Don't eat it.
about 2 to 3 feet apart here.
Don't talk, buddy. Come here, come talk with me.
And I'm direct seeding these. So I'm gonna plant 2 seeds in each hole. And if more than 1 seed happen to come up in a hole, then we'll just separate them and move them out, because we don't want 2 seeds right next to each other. But real simple. These seeds are just gonna go in the hole, and we're gonna cover them up. And then we'll check on that in a few days. I'm gonna do one right in the, back up, you're right up here. I'm gonna do one right down here in the center of the bed. Cover that up. And one right down here. So hopefully these all germinate. And we'll have some nice ground cover here as these zucchini grow. They could really cover a lot of the ground, and they'll help prevent weeds, which we already have. I think this might be barley that's in the straw, I'm not sure. But we're all planted now. Our Three Sisters is ready to go. We got the corn, we got the beans. The next thing, we're doing the zucchini, our own little twist on the Three Sisters method for a small raised bed. So I am trellising my tomatoes here, as you can see, using twine up on top of this cattle panel. And I basically just tied a little bit of a knot here just to kind of hold this up. And then I'm using these clips here. These are called, it starts with a Q, but Johnny sell these, called the Q lipper system. So the twine actually gets in here and it wraps around. See how the twine here gets wrapped around that part, and then it clips around the tomato vine. So as this grows taller, we'll be able to add more of these clips and pull the tomato up to keep it really healthy and up off the ground. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm gonna be doing the same with the cucumbers over there. I wanna help them get up to the trellis there because they're leaning a little bit too much on the ground, more than I would like anyway. And then you wanna clip this around one of the stems of the plant, like this. So now it's connected here. So this is gonna keep growing up, and we'll keep doing that. I'm gonna do it to these tomatoes over here as well. I'll loop it up here. Cut this and tie a knot down here around the bottom. I've never done this before, but I really like this because you don't have to, I used to use zip ties to do stuff like this, and zip ties seem very wasteful. These clips can be reused, and I really like that part of it. So we're not just wasting plastic. We could reuse these clips year after year. All right, so I've got two varieties of bush beans from Survival Garden Seeds, and one of them is a purple Royal Burgundy, which this one actually turns green when you cook it, but it looks really, really pretty. And Provider is a really good green bean as well, very, very productive. So I'm going to do one row of the purple beans and one row with the green Provider bush beans. All right, I've got all of the Royal Burgundy purple bush beans here in my hand. I'm going to try to space them out so I can fit them all in this row. I'm going to plant them about 3 to 4 inches apart, and all I'm going to do is put them in the soil and just push it in a little bit. And I'm going to come back and cover each of these up, but I like to keep them a little bit exposed so that I can see my spacings and make sure I have the right kind of spacing that I want. And I'll just push them in a little bit. And again, I'm gonna come back and cover all of these up. And then we're gonna water them in really, really good. But I've planted bush beans before, and I've tried some closer spacings. But what I found is you start to get some disease issues when they're planted too close together. And when you plant too many rows, you really run into some issues with the leaves on these plants, and they can not make it to the end if you do this the wrong way. This would be easier if I wasn't holding the camera in my hand, but I think you get the idea. It doesn't have to be perfect here. Here are the Provider green bush beans. It's funny that these are actually purple, yet the other ones that actually turned purple were the whitish tan color. But I'm going to do the same thing here. Of course, it would be easier if I wasn't holding the camera, but you get the idea. Doesn't have to be perfect, but try to space them evenly as you can. And I'm going to come through after I put these in and cover them up. And then I'm going to water this in very, very good. Something I've learned also planting green beans is that you really want to be careful with watering. You can overdo it with watering and give the plants some diseases that you don't want with the leaves. So you really want to, kind of like with your tomatoes, you want to water the base of the plants. So you're going to want to come in with a watering can, or get as close as you can with the hose if possible, but water the soil, not the leaves, so they don't get any kind of diseases. Here's bed number 4 with the Ice Queen lettuce that we planted. Just look how full this bed is. That was the perfect spacing for this type of lettuce. In fact, most head lettuces, this is really good spacing, about 8 inches apart. Just enough to get a really nice full-sized head. Now these are ready to be harvested, and I'm going to be doing that later this week. And then once these are out, we're going to be planting beets next. All right, it's getting dark and it's raining, but I just wanted to show what I'm doing here with the beets. Is I'm planting 2 varieties here in this bed, and I'm going to be planting 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of beets. I've done 3 rows. You can do 3 rows, and they do well at 3 rows, but it seems a little wasteful to me in a bed of this size, and we're going to see how well they do. I think they will do just fine with that amount of space. So 2 of the rows I'm going to be planting this Detroit dark red beet, and the other 2 rows are going to be the Cylindra beet, which I really like for canning purposes. So here's a look at our Three Sisters bed in our 400 square foot garden, and the corn is doing very well. This is Golden Bantam yellow sweet corn. That is very tall. I would say it's about 8 feet tall. The tassels here, I'm going to help pollinate these. So, oh man, I can almost barely reach. I'm gonna take off a piece of this. Oh, if I could reach it without destroying this plant. There we go. There we go. Woo! Take off a piece of the tassel, and I'm just gonna rub it on all these silks. I actually did this once the other day. I'm just doing it again, just to make sure. This is how you make sure you have a nice ear of corn and all of the kernels are filled in and you don't have any empty spots. You really actually have to hit every single silk in here with this in order to do that. So you have to kind of take your time to do it. Now, if we did this on a larger scale, like in a couple acre field, this would happen much easier. It would just happen naturally with the wind. But because this is such a small bed, I'm just going to take the time to do it myself so that we still make sure that we have some nice full ears of corn in here. So take your time, take a piece of this tassel, rub it all over these silks, and you'll get a nice ear of corn. I get the top and the bottom, trying to get all of these silks. Today we're going to find out the results of an experiment I did with growing potatoes. Now, I grew the same amount of potatoes in this 3 foot by 6 foot raised bed, and the same potatoes I grew in my 10-gallon grow bags. And I wanted to find out which way would get me the best yield. So we're going to test out the raised bed compared to the grow bags and see which one did better. Now, I grew 2 different varieties in both of these beds. One side was Yukon Gold, and the other side was Pontiac Red. I really like those varieties. And this is the raised bed here, and I can already tell that the raised bed, at least the foliage, looks a lot larger than the foliage of the plants in the grow bags, which I'll show you right now. Now here I have 2 rows of grow bags here. Some of them have gone to flower here, just like over in my raised bed, but the foliage definitely isn't as tall as it is over there. So I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's not like we have any poor like yellowing leaves or anything like that. They're just not as large. But it's possible that I'll open up over here and find some really small potatoes or something. I don't know. We got to find out. Maybe there's more potatoes in here. I'm not sure, but definitely going to figure that out, and we'll weigh it all at the end to figure out which one grew more. So I have 8 bags here because I planted 1 potato in each bag. These are 10-gallon grow bags. So 1 row is Yukon Gold and 1 row is the Pontiac Red. And I did the same thing in the raised bed. There's 1 row with 8 seed potatoes of the Pontiac Red and 8 seed potatoes of the Yukon Golds. And now I'm going to get to harvesting and see how we did. I don't remember which side I planted which potato. It looks like this side was the Yukon Golds. Now, I probably could have let these grow a little bit more, but I just wanted to harvest. I just felt like harvesting. They weren't definitely done growing. I could have let these go until the leaves really die off, but I actually really like these sized potatoes for making breakfasts and things like that. So I'm all right picking a little bit early. I probably could have gone a few more weeks until almost July, but I really wanted to pick these potatoes and see how they did. So a lot of greenery, but small potatoes. A good amount of them, however. Let's see. A lot of pill bugs in here. Let's see. Oh my gosh. There's a ton of ants in here. That's gross. Ugh. Go away, ants. Alright. Definitely would have grown a lot more if I let these grow, but really wanted to get these potatoes out of the ground so I can prepare for the next crop. Oh man. I really don't like pulling ants off. It's gross. Some decent sized ones. Definitely would have got larger ones if I waited a little bit, but we got a lot more potatoes to plant. I have so many seed potatoes that still need to get in the ground, so I'm alright picking them a little early. That's awesome. Now after I go and pick all these initial ones right off the vines, I'm going to go back and double check there's not any stragglers that got left in the ground, but it seems like a lot of them are coming up with the plant. In my 400 square foot garden here, we're going to do one more planting, one more bed of potatoes. We're going to plant in July. So it's definitely going to be able to get another harvest of potatoes before the fall. There's some buried in here. Another reason I really wanted to get these out of the ground is because the foliage on these potato plants is really shading the potatoes that I have in the bed right behind it, and I really want them to start putting on some growth, so I need to get them some more sunlight. So these need to get out of the ground to give them more of a chance to grow. Oh, this one's good. Oh yeah, that's a sign of good soil right there. I'll leave him in there. Or her. Oh, there's tons of worms in here. That is a good sign. One here. All right, we just got, I don't know if you can see that, 5.85 pounds of the Yukon Golds. Now we're gonna harvest these Pontiac Reds. Oh yeah. I really like these Pontiac Reds because the red really, really pops. I really like these kind of potatoes. Seems to be a little bit better of a yield. Maybe it's deceiving because of the color. They're sticking out more. I love baby red potatoes. I don't know what it is about them, but I really do enjoy them. Oh. Oh. That. Nothing better than harvesting fresh potatoes. Really not a lot of work. You plant them once, and then you enjoy a nice simple harvest about 3 months later. Now we didn't give them the full 90 days to really grow, as long as they could have, but it's going to get the good results for this test because they all got the same amount of time to grow. So we'll see which ones did better in the containers or in the raised bed. Maybe there won't be much difference at all. I am curious. A lot of small ones that would have grown. Definitely would have got some more if we left this in the ground longer. But we're going to be growing more of these in just a couple of weeks, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. And the other ones, we're definitely going to leave them in until right before that first frost, or at least until the leaves all die off. And we'll get as many potatoes as possible right before the weather starts to turning to the cold winter weather. And we'll have some good potatoes to get us through the winter. Yeah, I see all these little baby potatoes that were just starting to grow. Man, this really would have put off more potatoes if I had just given it some more time. I'll make sure to give them more time to grow when we put the next batch in. You can see how these potatoes, you have a seed potato that you plant, and all of the potatoes that grow are kind of all around that original seed potato, all around that base. So it's not like the soil needs to be super deep for the potatoes. You want to give them some room to grow, and you definitely don't want them to grow in a really hard clay soil, but you want it to be nice and fluffy right around that area that you planted that seed potato to give you a nice yield. And you could see I am regretting pulling these so early because of how many little baby potatoes were still yet to come. But sometimes you just want fresh potatoes. It's okay to pull them a little bit early, I think, because you definitely have a second harvest. You can plant potatoes more than one time in a season if you get them in the ground early enough. So we'll be doing that very soon. It's also a better way to do this than being bent over like I am, because that hurts your back. Remember to squat so you don't kill your back. Trying to remind myself that. A lot of worms. Ooh. There you go. I probably would have gave these a little bit more time if they weren't shading my other raised bed here so much. I just needed to give those potatoes more sunlight because they're still on the smaller size and I really need them to start growing, to start producing. That's a weed, that's not a potato. A lot of worms in here. Now the best thing to do, at least for me right now, with all of this, these potato leaves, is you could either throw them right in your compost pile, or you could just leave them in place right on top of your row. So this will cover the soil until I'm ready to plant my next crop in here, which is going to be lettuce that's going in here next. So I have a heavy feeder, the potatoes, followed by a light feeding lettuce plant, which will be going in here very shortly. All right, so those Pontiac red potatoes got me 6.402 pounds from that row. So that's definitely a pound more than the Yukon Golds. They yielded a little bit more. And I have a feeling if I would have left them in for a few more weeks, they would have really outperformed the Yukon Golds in yield because there was a lot more baby seed potatoes that were about to really start to grow. So now I'm going to go get to the grow bags and see how they did in comparison. I don't remember which side was which, but we'll find out real quick what variety was in here, whether they're red or golden color. Whew. Yeah, these are the red ones on this side. Let's see if they did any better with the deeper bed. Definitely seem on the smaller side so far compared to that raised bed. Definitely had more nutrition in that raised bed. I could have done a better job adding some more to this one, but I just didn't do it for some reason. There's one. So, to me, this is a pretty pitiful harvest of these compared to that first raised bed we just did. There were a lot of small ones, but there were more medium-sized ones. These are all just on the smaller size to me. So, I have a feeling that the fertility was just very down on these beds. Like maybe if I was growing something like sweet potatoes, it would have been fine. But for potatoes, they just need a little bit more nutrients to really grow a good crop, and I didn't give them that. So we're here in bed 1 of the 400 square foot garden where we have been growing our Royal Chantenay carrots. And I really like these carrots because they're a really good storage carrot. They're an heirloom carrot, meaning you could save the seeds from these carrots to grow year after year. But we did have a little trouble with germination early on with these carrots. So we had to replant them. I think we planted them a little bit too early. But I'm going to show you the greens. They don't look that good because the greens have been getting eaten, I think, from rabbits. You see the tops here? All these tops have... These carrots, one thing I really like about these carrots is they grow a really big, thick stalk, and they're really easy to pull out of the ground like this. Look at that. Look at that carrot. Isn't that a beautiful carrot? Some carrots have a really weak green stem, and you can actually break it very easily, but these make it really easy to grab here and just pull out of the ground. So I'm gonna, we didn't get great germination in this bed. We planted 3 rows, which for this variety of carrots with a really thick greens like this actually works out perfect. Well, we planted 3 rows, but really only 2 of these rows got really good germination. We only got a couple to germinate in that 3rd row. And because I was behind in transplanting, or behind in these growing and germinating, because it's been really hot, you really need to keep the soil very moist to get nice carrots, really just to get them to germinate. So my succession plan for this bed was to have potatoes grow next. So I actually, because these were taken a little bit, I planted 2 rows of potatoes actually in between where, down here, Lucy, you could see, these are potatoes that I've actually planted in between these rows of carrots. I have 2 rows of them. So now I'm going to take out all the carrots and just let the potatoes do the rest of their growing. But here, we're going to, oh man, we do have carrots. Look at this.
2 good carrots.
Yep, bugs got to this. I don't know. That happens sometimes. That's okay. Oh, that's weird. Soil.
They're talking to like give me the carrots.
They do grow like a nice thick little carrot. So even if you have a rocky kind of soil, you'll still get a pretty nice carrot. So I'm curious to see how much we grew here. Here, let me pull this one. Oh man.
I restarted another video.
You started another one? Sometimes if you go to pull the carrots and they don't just pull right out, that means they probably have a really deep taproot, and you don't want to snap it. Yeah, sometimes something's been eating these. That's not good.
And they look weird.
Yeah, but
that one looks nice.
This is what these carrots really look like. So these are a great kind of carrot for canning, stews, soups, which is what we're going to use them for tonight. We're going to put them in some chicken noodle soup.
Well, not really tonight.
These are a great storage carrot. You could overwinter these, keep them in the ground over winter. Oh man, look at these. Oh yeah, look at that.
Those look really nice.
Yeah, really do. Some of these I'm going to come back to that didn't come out right away because I don't want to break them. But this is what, oh man, look at these. These look fantastic. I love it. But we are planning to plant a whole bunch more carrots for the fall. And I'm going to be planting two beds of carrots that we're going to leave in the ground over winter. And then we'll be able to come out whenever we need carrots over the winter and just pull them out of the garden. Yeah, when you have a nice, see, I don't know what that is. That is some kind of bugs or bacteria in the soil eating away at these carrots. So some of these carrots stayed in the ground too long and we're actually starting to rot. Like this is carrots rotting. So I think we didn't time this right. We should have picked these already. Yeah, we lost a lot of carrots here.
We need some for lunch.
Well, we got some. See how the soil is just breaking here? Now hopefully we will be able to, oh, they're still stuck in there.
What?
Let's see. Ah, okay. Woo! Now, because we broke open the soil, we were able to get these two that were really stuck down there pretty far. So that really helps. Look how long and skinny this one was. Huh.
That's like 10
That's cool.
inches, kind of.
Yeah, I might have grown a different variety here because these are a little bit skinnier than the Royal Chantenay ones that were real thick. These look like a longer kind of carrot.
Yeah, they
Which
do.
is why they're breaking a little bit.
How's it taste?
Good.
Let me see. Let me see your face.
Welcome back to Once Upon a Tiny Farm. My name's Drew. In today's video, I want to give a quick tour, little summer tour of our backyard garden. Show you everything we got growing here. So stick around. I want to quickly share a few things that I've been doing to grow the most healthy cucumber plants that I think I've ever grown. So you can see I have them growing up this cattle panel trellis here. And something that I've done to keep this growing really healthy is below the fruit set here, I am taking off any diseased looking leaves on the bottom that might not be helping the plant to produce as much. I'm just taking those kind of leaves off, like so. Just take them off and it'll give the plant better airflow and help them go up, keep growing up and producing more fruit. And growing up a trellis is just the way these cucumbers seem to want to grow. I have two beds here. They're kind of spaced kind of close together. There's only about an 18-inch walkway, but the tomatoes are on the insides here and they're trellised up to the top of the cattle panel by string. And I found this is a really, really awesome way to utilize the cattle panel as well to get more use out of trellising these plants, which are on the inside and not actually growing up. But this is a way you would want to trellis your tomatoes anyway to hold them up off the ground, keep them healthier. So this has worked out really well. I think in future years, I planted these tomatoes a little bit close to give them a little bit more space to breathe. But they're doing pretty good. We got on this side of the trellis, we've got butternut squash. There's actually one down there that's already fruited. It looks really nice. And I'm really liking seeing them climb this trellis. And they're fruiting, doing really well. Really like how I set up this trellis here. So cool. The center of the garden. I'm using it to trellis the tomatoes too on these strings with these what are these little plastic clips I got from Johnny's Seeds to help hold them up. Doing really nice. Got some tomatoes there. Something I did this year, I actually direct seeded most of these tomatoes, and some of the ones that I direct seeded, I've had random tomatoes come up that I didn't plant. Like these cherry tomatoes were actually in my compost from last year. So I wanted to plant in this row all of these heirloom tomatoes, but we have some volunteer cherry tomatoes that came up and I didn't realize until later, but whatever. And this side was supposed to be all Romas, but we also had some more cherry tomatoes come up on the end there. But you know, tomatoes are tomatoes. In this row we had the Three Sisters corn, where we got some golden bantam yellow sweet corn, and we already harvested some of those the other day. But we also have these Kentucky Wonder pole beans climbing up here. And we tried to do the Three Sisters thing. We've got a little squash there. I think I planted this a little late, but it should still have time to produce. And the corn's doing good. The corn is just about done. We ate some of the corn already. There's some secondary corn ears that are still growing here. Actually, this one feels pretty good. So I might be harvesting more in the next few days. But yeah, I'm really liking seeing the beans start to grow up the corn. And oh man, you can kind of see Where are you? Yeah, they're gonna start forming beans here pretty soon. I've been waiting for a while, so that's cool to see. Now down here, this is a butternut squash that I'm pretty sure is from this bed next to here that's growing all the way in here. I'm gonna have to try to move this guy, going crazy. Most of my tomatoes have been doing well, but this one looks like it's got some kind of disease or something here. That's not good. And this is one of my first that have actually, hey, you want to grab some of these tomatoes off here for me?
Yeah.
It's our first tomato harvest. Don't pull, yeah, there you go. You can get the other orange looking ones. I believe this one is called Martino's Roma. Got these from Baker Creek.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Look at this one has on.
Oh yeah, that looks good. Did not actually plant these. These came up on their own, but I will gladly harvest some nice ripe cherry tomatoes. These kinds are called Bumblebee. They're not the tastiest tomato in the world, but they're really pretty. So the lettuce has not fared well this month. Because of all the heat, it's starting to bolt, and a lot of it actually got crunched on by either rabbits, groundhogs, or deer. We're not sure, but some of them look okay. Got a nice bed of green beans here. I just did 2 simple rows, and the bed before this was potatoes. I took out the potatoes and planted the green beans, and actually put in the center of this row, I laid all of the dead vines from that potato down the center as a weed suppressor, and it's actually worked fantastic. So didn't have to use any plastic or anything. This row's doing fantastic. Got a lot of weeds in here, but we also did germinate a few rows of beets. So we got some beets, and I actually, because I got a kind of poor germination in here, I think I did 3 rows, but I only see 1, maybe 2 good rows. I'm actually gonna plant a couple rows of carrots in between here after I rake out some of these weeds, because I had planned to plant carrots here around August 10th. And that's something that I'm going to be doing over here in this lettuce row. We're going to be taking those out and planting carrots for the fall. In this bed back here, we've got a bed of Jerusalem artichokes, which I have never grown before. They are in the sunflower family. We got actual sunflowers here. This one actually just fell over. I think it got too top heavy and fell over. But that bed is Jerusalem artichokes. They produce a tuber beneath the soil, and up top it grows these flowers, which look like they're about to start flowering. So I'm excited to harvest those, because you could actually eat those like a potato. You would have to bake them. You could also eat them raw, but they're supposed to have some bad effect on your stomach, so we'll have to see about that. But a good survival food nonetheless. In this bed back here, I actually planted a lot of asparagus. And I have some other weeds in here that I need to get to, but these were all started from seed. All these asparagus you see here, some of them were a little small and may have died in the heat, or maybe the roots are still alive down in the soil, I'm not sure. But I did plant a few random sunflower seeds in this bed. I think next year I might actually take some of the strawberry runners, which is in this weedy bed of strawberries, and take some of these runners and actually plant them in between the rows of asparagus, so that way I have 2 perennials in one bed. I think that would be a good use of space. So that's what I got going there. See this trellis here? I just put this in this year, and I'm really utilizing it to grow more vertically. And on this side of the trellis, I have butternut squash growing up here, and on the other side there's cucumbers growing up there, which are about to get taken out. Our cucumbers have been doing well on this trellis I've set up here, but it looks like it might be the end of the road for the cucumbers too. They did hold off really well this summer, and they're still producing a little bit, but after a couple big rainstorms we have, we're getting a lot of like disease and dying of the leaves. I think I'm gonna pull these out, and actually I have planted some others below. I don't know, they might have died. I had some other second succession. Oh, that cucumber died. I had more plants that went in here. I might try direct seeding because I think there's still enough time to get one more cucumber harvest before first frost. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you're new here. I'd really appreciate that too. All right, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. So, we're here in our 400 square foot garden, and in this back bed here, we have Jerusalem artichokes, and they formed these really pretty sunflowers. Really nice. Was waiting all year to see some flowers. So this is a perennial crop that produces a root tuber that I've never eaten before, but it's said, the people say that you could use it like a potato. You could eat it fresh in salads. You could bake it. You could do different things, like you could even make like mashed potatoes, like that kind of thing. Do the same thing with the Jerusalem artichoke. So I'm actually going to harvest this bed, and the reason I really wanted to grow this crop is because I could feed these flower stalks to my chickens, and I thought that's really cool. Plus they put these really, really pretty flowers off here. They're in the sunflower family, you see. They look like little sunflowers, maybe like the Rudbeckia. It's like another flower cluster that kind of looks like that. The animals can eat this, so that's really cool. So they could eat and gnaw at all the stalks and stuff. But what we're going for is the roots and tubers down in the ground, in the soil. So that's what we're going to harvest today. Oh,
What the heck is that?
look at all these. Oh, that's cool.
Oh, wow.
So, all right.
Whoa.
Oh, they didn't get very big. Maybe I should have left them in. Maybe I'll leave some of these in longer. But these are the roots, the tubers. Some of them are bigger. Like, that's kind of cool. It kind of reminds me of like a piece of ginger or turmeric.
It also reminds me of like a small, little, fat piece of potato.
These definitely would have got bigger if I left them in. And maybe I will leave some of these in a little bit longer. I was just curious to see what they looked like. And see, as I pulled this up, there's this little piece that was left in the ground. I'm just going to leave it in that spot. But since I pulled this up, I'm going to cut off all these little tubers. Okay. That's kind of cool. It's not very big, but you could eat it. It's supposed to be good for your stomach. Look at that harvest. All right, I'm gonna be quick. It's starting to rain. I don't know, you can see that. Got 9.2 pounds of this variety. This is called the Mahan Yam. This is a really, really sweet potato, very sweet. Got this from Johnny's. Got organic slips from Johnny Seeds and planted them, and I'll save a couple of these for growing slips again next year to grow more of these because they're very, very sweet. So we got 9.2 pounds of this variety. Now we're gonna weigh these purple guys. Guarantee it's gonna be over 10 pounds. Can barely even fit them in here. Wow. We're looking at 12.18 pounds of these purple sweet potatoes. I want to say they're called Vietnamese purple. I could be wrong on that. I'm gonna look that up. I don't remember what it was called exactly, but I got these from Baker Creek Seeds 2 years ago, and then they sent me slips 2 years ago. I grew them. These were the biggest variety that I grew of sweet potatoes last year, and I saved a couple, grew slips again this year, and these did fantastic. I mean, that both varieties did good. The other variety that I first showed you is sweeter. It's not this isn't as sweet as the other sweet potato variety, but it's very, very, very pretty, very purple, and it's just kind of unique. You know, you don't find this at the grocery store. So we grew, what's that? Almost lost that bag. I'm gonna take you off. We grew over 20 pounds here of sweet potatoes in just a very small 3-foot by 6-foot raised bed. That's the possibilities of what you can grow even in a small backyard. In today's video, we're going to be talking about our 400 square foot garden and how we're getting it ready for the fall. We're planting for the fall to not only improve the soil, but to actually grow things throughout the winter months. So, let's get started. So I've made some changes here actually, because I realized that all of my beds were actually too close together. Now, I want this to be a very, very efficient small garden, but there's some places you really can't make it too small, because what I realized this year is, you can see this walkway is about 2 feet now. It used to be only about 12 inches. And when I had cucumbers growing up the cattle panel on this side and things that I still have some butternut squash growing on that one, I couldn't get in this walkway to even harvest or care for these rows. So I had to move these beds over, these outer 2 beds I moved over. So I have a good 2 feet, I would say, in between, and it's just so much more comfortable walking in and out of the rows. And that's really important, because if you can't get into your rows to harvest anything, you're not going to be able to take care of your crops, and yeah, it just becomes a big mess. So big change I just made the other day, and I'm glad I did that. Another thing that seems fairly obvious here is I've removed all the crops that were in here. I had a bed of green beans, I had potatoes earlier, I still have carrots here. Oh shoot, what did I have up there? I don't even remember what I had up in the front. That was a while ago. I think that was potatoes, and green beans were here, and I had some beets over here. And everything's removed. I added a little bit of new compost, topsoil, and today's project is working on these 2 middle beds, which is where I had my cucumbers and tomatoes, and I have ways where they have struggled this year, and I'm planning to improve the soil for next year so I get a better crop, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. So the other day, Matthew and I came in here and we removed all of the tomatoes and cucumbers from this bed and the bed next to it. And then this morning I came in with my torch and burned any remaining weeds and residue left in the row, and then I added fresh soil on top. So all these rows are prepped. There's still some residue in here. I don't really care. There's a little bit of weeds and stuff in here. But my plan here is to plant something. I've had these seeds actually for 2 years. Get these a little closer. This is a blue Ethiopian wheat that I got from Baker Creek. I wanted to grow these because they look really, really pretty. And my plan here is to plant wheat in both of these beds. Now this here is the wheat seeds I got from Survival Garden Seeds.